when I think of the most dominant individual seasons of the past decade, I hate to have recency bias, but I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes from 2018 as my first pick. And I know there's a lot of good ones out there. But Patrick Mahomes last year was more than just a good quarterback. That was a force of nature. I mean, that was greatness, what we saw. And to me, for a guy that came in as his first year as a starter to do the things he did, and really we had never seen anybody other than Dan Marino ever do something like that ever before. 50 touchdown passes, the fate of the team and how good they were all just relied on his talents and ability to make big plays and all the, clutch moments at the end of the games, whether it's throwing lefty against the Broncos on Monday Night Football or 4th and 9 against the Ravens in 2018, the no-look passes. He took the league by storm and is the biggest superstar in our sport now.
Mike, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson 2019.
Yeah.
Because who leads the NFL in touchdown passes and finishes in the top 10 in rushing? And that's probably what Lamar Jackson is going to do. He's had the best running season a quarterback has ever had, and he's got a good shot to throw more touchdown passes than anybody has ever had. That plus the fact that as great as Mahomes was last year, I thought no one could outshine Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not saying Lamar Jackson has outshone Patrick Mahomes. But what I am saying is he's been every bit as sensational in 2019 as Patrick Mahomes was in 2018.
Agreed with that.
And that's what's so amazing about Jackson, because what we saw Mahomes do last year so revolutionized the position that I just assumed it would be another generation before somebody else revolutionized it again. Right. And it's revolutionized a different way the next year. I mean, Mahomes said to me, I was asking him about Lamar Jackson on Sunday. He said he's doing things we've never seen a quarterback do before. It's like, yeah, so are you. And they both are doing it in different ways, and it's happening in back-to-back years, and it really is remarkable. All right, I'm going back to 2013. For a guy who we thought may have been completely done. He had 4 neck surgeries. The Colts cut him loose. He had the nerve issue in the triceps. Was he ever going to be the same again? In 2013, Peyton Manning had the best quarterback season as a passer that anyone's ever had, with a record 5,477 passing yards and a record 55 touchdown passes. Both stand today. Even with everything Patrick Mahomes did last year, he was still 5 touchdown passes short of what Peyton Manning did in 2013. So that's my pick. Most dominant individual performance of the past decade, Peyton Manning. 2013, 6 years ago, feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah, no, it is crazy, and I mean, agreed. All these were on my list, and of course that year was. I mean, that was special. With the Denver Broncos. Yeah, we're not sure what he is, and that was really one of the best offenses we've ever seen in the history of the NFL. They were unstoppable, and Manning was unbelievable that year. These are like fine wines. Like my first round pick was like Mahomes, the 2018 bottle. It was explosive. This one is Tom Brady 2016, and we named it Revenge, okay? It was the revenge year. I don't give a damn. Tom Brady didn't win an MVP this year, didn't win anything special. Oh, but you know what he did? He served a 4-game suspension for Deflategate, then came back with vengeance, all right? And then threw 28 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, and within that year, of course, brought his team back to win a Super Bowl where they were down 28-3. And oh yeah, that 28-3 comeback not only made him an MVP of the Super Bowl, but made him the first quarterback to have 5 Super Bowls ever. Him and Belichick together that way. To me, yes, there's no accolades of Brady and MVPs that year, but that was still one of the most special revenge tours we have ever seen in NFL history, and Brady ultimately got the last laugh, so I had to go with that one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I got a weird one for you. That is a good one.
Go ahead.
That's a very good one, but I got a weird one for you, and that is 2015, Joe Thomas, left tackle, Cleveland Browns. He played 1,107 snaps for the Cleveland Browns that year, which is every offensive snap they had that year. In that 1,107 snaps, he got his quarterback hit 3 times. 3 times out of 1,107 snaps on a bad team. And that year, He had the best run blocking grade in the last 5 seasons as graded by Pro Football Focus. And so to me, that was the best year an offensive lineman had in this decade, and I'm making him my second pick.
All right, my second pick goes back to 2012, and that was a year that it appeared that Peyton Manning was going to be the MVP. He was wire-to-wire great for the Broncos in his first year back from that neck surgery, his first year with Denver. And then along came Adrian Peterson, who had torn an ACL Christmas Eve 2011, and there were all the questions about, is he going to be able to go? Will he be ready for week 1? Surely he won't be ready for week 1. And, you know, he was a little rusty to start the season, and he had some scar tissue. And, you know, he had a solid outing at first against the Jaguars to start 2012. And then it just kind of gradually, but definitely took off. And before you knew it, he was racking up 150, 175 yards a game. He went from 84 that first week. By the end of the season, it was 150, 123, 182, 171. He had 210, he had 212, and he had 199 in week 17 against the Packers to give him 2097 to just put him within 6 or 7 yards of Eric Dickerson's single-season record. He won the NFL MVP award that year. And again, it all happened within a calendar year after tearing an ACL. And we hear all the time, oh, when you tear an ACL, it takes you 2 years to be back to normal. He had screwed up everyone's expectations post-ACL tear, what he did in 2012. And it's a shame he didn't set the single-season record. I'm not sure anyone's ever beaten Dickerson's record. Peterson's had the best chance, and he did it with a new ACL.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. I mean, come on. I mean, who was expecting that? I mean, I think we all thought, like, oh, it's going to be kind of over for Adrian Peterson. He'll never be the same. And then he came out. I can still remember, what was that, a week 1 game in Cleveland where we were like, whoa, okay. Apparently he didn't get the memo that you're not supposed to be as good after an ACL. I can still remember that run where he like stiff-armed like 7 people and ran down the sideline for a touchdown. All right, I'm going way back to 2011. You know, I can't go with the all-decade player draft and, in my opinion, not pick the best player of the decade. And that's Aaron Rodgers. To me, yeah, you know it. And 2011 was maybe his finest performance. They were 15-1 as a football team. He actually only played in 15 games that year. Didn't even play 16 games, but of course was the MVP, had a quarterback rating of over 122, but 45 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, ran for 3 touchdowns, was as dominant, and I think that was as good as a season I had ever seen a quarterback play. And I can just remember because it was my first year out of football, and I watched a lot of film, and, you know, I'm Ron Jaworski and did all those things. Here's the amazing thing about it, guys. He did this with a guy at left tackle in Marshall Newhouse who's been on 8 different teams, and it was his left tackle all year. And we saw Tom Brady in just total disarray with Marshall Newhouse as his left tackle the last few weeks. He did it all year with having to drop back and look over his left shoulder and usually make a guy miss and then throw a missile down the field. To me, I just thought that was one of the greater individual performances I saw this decade.
All right, so my last pick here is going to be the 2012 season of J.J. Watt. And when you look at this 2012 season of J.J. Watt, what you see is one of the most incredible years a defensive lineman has ever had. And I include Reggie White, Bruce Smith, all of the great ones. Can you imagine having 119 total quarterback disruptions? That's quarterback sacks, hits, batted passes, significant pressures. 8 times a game, you are screwing up the opposing quarterback. Who's ever done that before? And J.J. Watt was on his way to winning the Defensive Player of the Year 3 times in 4 years and having an incredible run. Imagine a guy who everybody is double blocking, having 119 quarterback disruptions in a season. So J.J. Watt is my third choice in 2012.
All right, our draft so far, most dominant individual seasons of the last 10 years. Sims has Patrick Mahomes 2018, Tom Brady 2016, Aaron Rodgers 2011, Peter King with Lamar Jackson 2019, Joe Thomas 2015, J.J. Watt 2012. I've got Peyton Manning 2013, Adrian Peterson 2012. And let's go ahead and finish with another one from 2012. It was a fine year for NFL talent. It was a fine year for dominance. Calvin Johnson. 1,964 receiving yards,
Yeah.
a record that still stands. And I remember in the offseason, Amari Cooper was on with us, and he said his goal was 2,000 receiving yards this year. It's like, you're aware nobody's ever done that, right? Yeah, that's okay. Well, nobody's ever done it, and the closest who's ever come to it is Calvin Johnson. It's a shame he retired when he did. It felt like he still had gas in the tank, but he was banged up. He was a dominant force, and it's also a shame that the Lions just never did. Think about the guys the Lions had. How do you not do more with Matthew Stafford and Ndamukong Suh and Calvin Johnson?
Yeah.
But Johnson had a great year in 2012, so that finishes it out.
Well, they're the only three guys they had. That was the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was 3-on-3 football, they'd have been in great shape.
Exactly. It always came down to them, those three having to make a play, and that's just not going to get it done in the NFL.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.